First I'd like to introduce the official party. And Tamahani, President, Fox and RSA. We have Major Davis from the military. Mr. Gimlet has an apology, he's in Christchurch. And Mr. Ross Brannigan, so he's got here or not. Manawatu College senior leaders, Emma Tu Fonna, head girl, Cullen Thwaite, head boy, Chelsea Pilato, sports captain, Maddie Pilato, academy captain, Natalie McDonald, international captain. And I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Trevor Solomon, our Sullivan, who will now welcome and open our service prayer.
Good morning, everyone. I warmly welcome you here today to this deeply significant day and ceremony. We've come together to give thanks and praise to Almighty God, the origin of all that is good, and whose love is revealed in Jesus Christ and sustained the world. Today we remember before God all the men and women of the armed forces and auxiliary who gave their lives in a time of war to the cause of freedom and justice. We all have different opinions or views on armed conflict, but there's no limit to the courage and bravery of those who put their lives at risk for others. John 15 says, the Apostle Paul wrote to Jesus, no one has a greater love than to lay down one's life for a friend. Let us pray. Lord, today as we reflect on the blessings of our liberty and freedom, we pause to ask your guidance that we may be faithful stewards of the freedom we have been granted at the expense of so many others. Lord, give us the strength and wisdom to never forget that we cannot rightfully celebrate joy of freedom without remembering the huge loss of life and sacrifice for that freedom. We give thanks, Lord, to the untold number of New Zealanders and allies who sacrificed their personal dreams and ambitions to assure the well-being of our country, so as we can all enjoy the freedom and liberty that we do today. We ask, Lord, that you watch over and keep safe the military personnel who are posted overseas in peacekeeping roles and in war zones. And we give thanks and gratitude for those who have returned home safe to their families. Amen. We will remember.
Thank you, Trevor. I'd like to call on Chelsea, Maddie and Natalie to recite the ANZAC poem, please.
The association of the red poppy with battlefield deaths date back to the Napoleonic Wars over 200 years ago, when the poppies were the first plants to grow in the churned-up soils of soldiers' graves in the area of Flanders. They became the natural symbol of resurrection and remembrance. This connection between the red poppy and war dead was renewed over a century later on the Western Front during the First World War. It was a poem by Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae, a Canadian medical officer, which began the intriguing process by which the Flanders poppy became immortalised worldwide as a symbol of remembrance.
In Flanders fields the poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place. And in the sky, the larks still bravely singing fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, without dawn saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe, to you from falling hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If you break faith with us who die, We shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields.
The inspiration for the verses had been the death of a fellow officer during the Second Battle of Ypres in western Belgium, for whom McRae had performed the burial service. McRae's verses, which he had scribbled in pencil on a page torn from his dispatch book, were sent anonymously by a fellow officer to the English magazine Punch, which published them under the title In Flanders Fields. 3 years later, McRae himself died near Boulogne, France, in January 1918. On his deathbed, McRae reportedly laid down the challenge. "Tell them this, if you break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep." Among many people moved by McRae's poem was a YMCA canteen worker in New York, Miss Moyna Michael, who, 2 days before the armistice was signed, wrote this reply to McRae's poem entitled "We Shall Keep the Faith."
O you who sleep in Flanders fields, sleep sweet to rise anew. We caught the torch you through, and holding high, we keep the faith with all who died. We cherish too the poppy red that grows in fields where valour led. It seems to signal to the skies that blood of heroes never dies, but lends a lustre to the red of the flower that blooms above the dead in Flanders fields. And now the torch and poppy red we wear in honour of our dead. Fear not that ye have died for naught, we'll teach the lesson that we brought in Flanders fields.
Moyna Michael also originated the idea of the red poppy being a symbol of remembrance.
All right, thank you for that. I'd like to call Major Davis.
Good morning, everyone, and might I say it's a great honour to be back in Foxton along with members of 21 Supply Company today. Today we gather to honour and remember all those who have served and are serving our nation in the armed forces, and in particular those who gave their lives for New Zealand. The world of 2017 is a very different place from when ANZAC Day was first commemorated. Certain things, however, have remained constant. Today, like their forebears in the First World War, the men and women of the New Zealand Defence Force are actively engaged across the globe, promoting and defending our national values. In April 1917, the New Zealand Division was preparing for the Battle of Messines. When the assault took place, it was a great success, but on the Western Front, even success was costly and failure often catastrophic. It took years to master the technical and tactical challenges created by the world's first full-scale industrialised war, and the cost, especially in human lives, was appalling. In the 21st century, our task is to be prepared before the worst occurs. Today's threats to our nation are varied and develop extremely quickly. They range from natural disasters through to cyber attacks, and from terrorism to the threat of large-scale war. All too commonly, our forces have to deal with people who have no regard for human rights or the laws of war. In these missions, our young men and women in the New Zealand Defence Force face a range of challenges due to ongoing conflict and many serious health threats, including malaria, dysentery and typhoid. It is a credit to New Zealand that our personnel have established a record of service that is second to none. Today's military professionals are much more likely to have family commitments, and they undertake many more operational deployments overseas than their forebears of a century ago. These repeated deployments have a cumulative effect on service people and their families, placing them under increasing strain. The high tempo of operational deployments in recent times has changed the face of our veteran population, which currently numbers more than 30,000. It is now a younger group, containing many more women. Compared with the older generation, these younger veterans have had different experiences, but they are still veterans and need our support. In closing, I'd like to recite the last verse of a poem entitled 25 April. This was written many years ago by an anonymous New Zealander. and sets out very well the debt we have to those who have given their lives for our country. Their names shall live forever in the halls of memory. They gave their lives as ransom that we who live be free. They bought us peace and freedom, nor grudged the utmost price. God grant that we prove worthy of their great sacrifice. Thank you.
Thank you, Mate Davis. Now I'd like to call on Emma Tāpuna and Cullen Twaits to read the message from the Government General and Prime Minister Bill English.
New Zealand, along with other nations, is currently in the 4th year of commemorations to mark the centenary of the First World War. Later in the year, there will be commemorations to mark the centenaries of 2 massive battles for our troops on the Western Front, at Messine and Passchendaele, as well as the Palestine campaign. ANZAC Day is a time to reflect also on New Zealand's engagement in all conflicts, including the Second World War, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, and many peacekeeping missions around the world. A legacy of our participation is in the strength of bonds which we have forged with other nations, both friend and foe. It was at Gallipoli that a new respect developed between Australian and New Zealand troops. Australian historian Charles Bean, referring to the first few days of the campaign, observed, 3 days of genuine trial had established a friendship which centuries will not destroy. It was fitting that the Australian Memorial was the first to be installed at Pikiahu National War Memorial Park in Wellington. It was recently joined by a Turkish memorial and monuments honouring our wartime connections with France, Canada, Belgium, the United Kingdom and the United States of America are scheduled for completion during the centenary period. 100 years after the momentous events of 1917, New Zealand society is much more diverse. Over a quarter of New Zealand's population today was born overseas. Our challenge is to ensure that the significance of this important national day is shared by all New Zealanders. I am mindful that while we are fortunate to live in a time of relative peace, many people who have recently made New Zealand their home have had first-hand experience in war and conflict. My hope is that ANZAC Day can be a time for all New Zealanders to come together, regardless of their age or background, to reflect on the impact of conflict in our communities and to affirm the civic traditions which we hold dear, along with our fervent hope for peace between nations. ANZAC Day will remain a special day to honour those who serve their country. It is a time to honour the veterans among us in our communities and the courageous men and women who serve in our Defence Force today. New Zealand servicemen and women who are no longer with us will be proud to know that their descendants come together to honour their memory. Today, we remember their commitment and sacrifice and acknowledge the strong bonds forged between us in this act of solemn commemoration.
It is now over a century since the first ANZAC troops arrived at Gallipoli on the morning of April 25, 1915. Though time moves on, we will never forget the campaign that took the lives of almost 2,800 brave New Zealanders who had travelled far from home to serve their country. Today, we join in paying our respects to those first arrivals and to all New Zealanders who served at Gallipoli. We remember also our fellow ANZACs, the Australian troops, and to all who fought on both sides of the campaign. Through the broad lens of time, we can see that our foes were men just like ours, resisting as anyone would the invasion of their homeland, and incurring losses nearly double those of all the Allies combined. This year marks a number of First World War centenaries, the Battle of Messines, the war in Sinai or Palestine, and New Zealand's darkest day, the Battle of Passchendaele. It also marks the 75th anniversary of the Second Battle of El Alamein. As these anniversaries approach, we're reminded that ANZAC Day has evolved over the years, becoming a day of wider remembrance and a time to reflect on our full military history and all New Zealanders who have served their country. It is also a time for us to acknowledge the men and women of today's New Zealand Defence Force, who put themselves at risk in the world's conflict zones, furthering this nation's commitment to international peace, security and cooperation. Today we pause and give thanks to them for their service and their sacrifice, as well as that of their families. ANZAC Day brings us together in New Zealand, in Turkey, in Australia and in many countries around the world to honour all New Zealanders who continue to serve in the fine tradition of courage and compassion which was demonstrated by the ANZACs at Gallipoli. We cannot give back lost lives or wholeness of body or spirit, but what we can ensure is that their service will never be forgotten. Today is and will always be their day.
Right, thank you, the head student, for that. I'd like to just acknowledge, the college and the young people now, and the tradition with ANZAC Day and the support. Now I'll ask you all now to read the commitment to the tradition of ANZAC Day. It's in your program. We declare our intention to accept the personal responsibility to lead our community in the spirit of self-sacrifice worthy of the ANZAC tradition. We will accept the challenge of defending the standards that have made our nation strong and devote ourselves to winning in peace for the sake of all. Right, would you please join me in singing the national anthem? We will sing it in Mary first, then we'll follow everything in time. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey,
I'd like to call on Trevor Solomon for the closing prayer.
thank you, David. In closing the service, I would like to share a well-known prayer from the military prayer book of my father, Private John Solomon, 39138, 28 Marictillion. A prayer book that he carried with him through the war-torn countries of Egypt, North Africa, England, Italy, and Syria. And in doing so, opening it to let the light of freedom that thousands of ANZACs fought for and believed in illuminate these words. Kia tau, kia tātou katoa. Te ata whai o tō tātou e ki o ihu praise. Me te aro ma te atua, me te whiwhinga tai I tanga, te wai rua tapu, āne ake, Amen. In translating, may the grace of the Lord Jesus and the love of God and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with you all forever and ever. Amen. Could you follow me through, please, with the Lord's Prayer? Finish. Thank you. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us
And thank you all for attending the service. We will assemble outside on the Ladies' Mile and march to the cenotaph or the wreath lane. Now, I reminded those that would transport the RSA van will be there to support any, take anybody down that doesn't want to march, can't march or doesn't want to march. So, all right, thank you all. Thank you very much for attending.